Welcome back. For this week's fly, we're going to do another Kelly Galloup pattern. We're going to do a silk kitty in white. I like to fish this one a lot in white, olive, tan. I'll tie them in black too. White and olive seem to be my two favorites that I tend to tie the most. It looks a little fuzzy. Better. So to get started on this one, we got a Daiichi 2461, almost as always, in a size 2 for the back, 1 for the front. We're going to go with a marabou tail, measure it out the length of the hook shank or slightly longer. Keep that in for bulk. Grab. We'll get back here. Go with 2 pieces of silver flashabou. Just like most of the other streamer patterns that have the marabou tail, we'll build in a little bit of internal flash to this pattern. And get out of the way. Trim that off. We'll go with our second plume of marabou right on top. And I can peel this back just a little bit more here. Got a little bulky on me, so we're going to take some of this out. That'll do. And measure it. That's pretty close. And then same thing, take this right to the back where you left off with the first plume. Bring these around. Let me check the monitor. That's a little fuzzy, isn't it? We'll zoom out just a little. See if it'll clear up slightly. That looks better. Like I said, we're just keeping this in for bulk. Taking your thread right to the front, cutting this off. And there's your tail. Just kind of clean that up a little. They don't have to be tight wraps. Just kind of open loop your way back to the front. Take some red wire. And you can use yellow, silver, it doesn't matter, whatever color you pick. The wire isn't a major detail, mainly because it's going to get hidden by the slopping and your eye stub for the body. Go ahead and create your dubbing loop and tie off with a half hitch and throw this right in your cradle. We're going to go ahead and take our eye stub out. This is just eye stub UV pearl. Form your taper. And throw it in here. Things look pretty good. I'll zoom out so you can see what I'm doing with this. You got your taper for your dub. Give it a quick spin and let it go. Bring your body around and just work it all the way to the front. Now you can see we have the taper. We still have a little bit of room in the front to tie in our extra materials, but we're making progress with this here. Next material, we're going to take the slopping. Remember, smaller if you can find them in the back, bigger on the front hook. I try to keep that natural taper going. As it gets to the front, it builds the bulk. Trim this off and we'll zoom back in. Looks pretty good. Grab your hackle pliers. Give this a quick half hitch, get it in the cradle. And spin this to the back using the rotary function. And just kind of peel this all out, fluff it out. Let me see how we look on the underneath side here. Camera side looks a little sparse. We'll pick this out some without getting too picky. We'll call that good. My side seems to have a little bit more bulk to it, but it's alright. Counter wrap your wire right through your slopping. And we're trapping a little bit. Just a little we're trapping. Not bad. Normally run silver with the white patterns, but for some reason today we decided to go with the red for the wire running through there. Like I said, it doesn't really make a difference one way or the other. What you choose, you can get creative with it. Use whatever color you want. I don't think it makes a single bit of difference to the fish. So whatever looks good to you is the tire. And we'll try to pick this stuff out real quick without making too much of a mess. Call that good. I just kicked the camera here. Alright, back in business. A little clumsy. Next for our overwing, we're going to take some MFC tan brown barred marabou right over the top. Take it just past where you tied your tail in. Spin this. There's your overwing. For the last part on this back hook, we're going to take just some barred hackle stems and run this right down the center for our lateral line. Nice loose wraps to start. And then once everything's lined up how you want it going right down the center, you can really crank down on it. One thing I'll show you real quick, and I think I mentioned this in the, oh boy, I can't remember which video I mentioned it in, but if you want, you can take your scissors, let me get this in a frame here, right like this, and just kind of flatten out this stem a little bit. Makes it slightly easier to tie in because it is rounded to start, and it will have a tendency to roll on you if you don't flatten it out some, and that just helps tying it in. I think it was the Miss October video that I alluded to that step, but just a reminder. Loose wraps yet again. You can see your stem is going right down the center of your fly, and get some of that marabou out of the way. Really wrench down, and there you have it. There's the back half of the silk kitty. We're going to get this tied off. Just a quick whip finish. And we're set. Pull this out of the vise, back to our front hook. I guess, as usual, I have the eyes and the wire pre-tied in to save us a little bit of time here. Trying to keep these around 20 minutes on the articulated patterns. We'll see how I do. We'll see how I do. I'm trying. And just go around your eyes a little bit more for some reinforcement with the GSP. And then crank down on the connection wire. Run this to the front every 4th or 5th wrap, pulling down tight. And then one red bead to the side. Run your bead through. Bring your back hook. Run that wire through the top of the hook and then back through your bead. And try not to put the hook through your thumb. Let's see here. Trim this just slightly. Come on. And finish wrapping this up. Really torquing down on this as you go to the back. For our skirt, we're going to take just a little bit of web from a schlappen fiber, and that's not the best right there, it's a little short. Just take this webbing, and this is going to serve as our skirt to cover up our connection between the front and back hook. So just take this, strip some more of this off. The webbier you can get this stuff, the better for your connection. It just covers it up, makes it look a little cleaner, in my opinion. So stopping just shy of where your barb starts to go up at the angle, and you can see we have everything nice and covered up. I'm kicking the damn camera again. Next up, looks like we're still in focus. We'll take it. Your red wire again. Tie this in. Fold your tag over. And back to the dubbing loop. Where's the tool at? There we go. Get your half hitch and in the cradle. Get your dubbing prepped. Forming your taper. Got a little bulkier on the top there, so I'm just going to run my fingers through this, kind of pick it out a little. Work my get my taper how I want it. That's the nice thing about these dubbing loops, is you can manipulate the material after it's already in place a lot easier than you can if you're tying a traditional rope with your dubbing. So you stop this just short of your eyes. Get that out of the way, and back to our white schlappen. Tie this in, half hitch and cradle. Same as the back hook. Same as the back. Like I said, this is a bigger schlappen feather than the back one was. And just keep nice even wraps all the way back. Not as wispy either, that's nice. Makes it a little bit easier to work with. Hopefully I won't trap as much this time too. And work your red through here, counter wrap. Perfect. And just right through here, just rip it on through. Don't worry about the stuff that you trap too much, we can always pick it out. And right there. That actually looks really clean. I think we're just going to leave it. I'm not going to pick anything out. It looks good. We're going to take 3 rubber legs. It's just a white pearl flake. That's what we're going to throw in here. And same as always, just figure 8 right over top. Nice loose wraps to start. Now you can, what do we got going on here? I don't like the way that went. We're going to redo this. Something funky happened and I can't figure it out, so take 2. I think I must have trapped it with my thread on the way underneath. Nice loose wraps. Move this to where you want it, and then go ahead and pull tight with your thread. That cinches your legs in place and you're set. Grab my straw here. Next we're going to take the barred marabou back over the top and run it just about to where you tied in the barred for the back hook. And just really cinch down on it. And trim. Now I'm going to take this straw and I'm going to run it right over the top, just to keep all that material out of the way while I'm tying in the head. God bless America. If I kick that camera one more time. So to finish this off, we're going to use some white ram's wool for the head. And just like the Boogeyman video, it's the same thing, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on what we're doing here. If you've watched that one, this one will make perfect sense. So I'll save some time in explaining what we're doing. We're going to use just the tips here and measure out your tips. See how it's forming that collar on the way back? Now you can peel this and tie right in front of it, tie it down. And that'll we'll trim some of this, get it out of the way. This will all clean up once we get further in to the fly. I know it's going to look like a mess right now, but it'll all work out. take this and run it through your comb. And for this, I'll cut the tips off. The only time I really use the tips is for the collar on the very first one that I tie in. Now I'll tie that. Like I said, first couple are nice loose wraps, and then tighten it up as you go. And then what I'd like to do is, after I get here, I'll really wrench down on it, and believe it or not, with this GSP, it'll pull your back wraps tight as well. The stuff that's already around the material, it will pull those wraps tight. For this one, we're going to take just a little bit more material than we do with the other ones. It doesn't want to go through the comb. Pretty tangled up. There we go. We're cleaned up. Cut the tips. Now I'll tie this one in reverse. Like I said, if you've seen the Boogeyman video, this is how I like to tie in. I'll just take my finger, let me get this in the frame here, and I'll just kind of work this to where there's a little, circular indentation, and I can slide that right over top of the eyes. And this just helps fill out your head a little bit. If you skip this step, it's okay. It's just going to look a little sparse in my opinion, and I like to have the head on these. I don't like gaps in the middle of it. I like it to look good, so I take the extra step and do that. Two more stacks to tie in here, and we'll be ready to trim this up and finish this fly off. I don't think I'm going to make my 20-minute benchmark here. I think I'm going to run a little bit long. This pattern does take a little bit longer than some of the other ones to tie. There's just a few more details in it, but that's alright. I'll try and do better on the next ones. If I make it under 20 minutes on an articulated pattern, well, for one, I may not have done a good enough job explaining it. And two, if I do somehow make it under 20 minutes, it'll be in the comments, or it'll be in the description. Holy hell, I actually did it. Under 20. Let's see here. Do a quick whip finish on this, and we are set. I'm going to keep the straw in here for now. That way I don't go cutting my legs. I don't go cutting the barred marabou for the overwing, and this just helps keep it a lot cleaner. So just run your bodkin through here. I know we cleaned it up really well with the comb, but doing it this way just gives a lot cleaner of an appearance to the head. Eliminates gaps, just looks better. So we're going to start to trim this mess. Get zoomed out slightly from where I kicked the camera there. I was a little to the left. But find the front of your hook and just go straight up, and then start forming the overall shape. You want this with a nice sculpting looking head to where it's wedged but flat on the bottom, just like the Boogeyman. Don't get real aggressive on this right out of the gate. Just kind of get your overall pattern, and then you can make your adjustments at the end. Okay, we have this. The bottom I tend to get a little bit aggressive with. I'll just pull everything up and cut it almost flush with my eyes. And let's see here, there's always a little bit more that you need to trim. Got a little sparse on the bottom on this one. This one probably wouldn't make a shadow box, but it will be effective. It'll fish. And then just get your overall shape. And try not to get too picky on this. It's a challenge for me. How are we looking there? That's pretty steep. We'll take this, come from behind it, and it's going to be a little tough to see. I know, I apologize for that. And just give your final trim right there. And the top of this got a little sparse. Throw her back in the vise. Take out the straw. Clean everything up here, make everything look presentable. Now you can go through, trim your legs, and we're set. I'm not gonna get any pickier on this head. I could trim it up a little bit. I could move marabou around, just kind of clean it up some. And I'm gonna move this marabou around. It's bugging me. It doesn't belong down there. Not that it really matters. As soon as it gets wet, it all slicks back and gives the appearance that you're after anyhow, but for some reason I just can't let it go. I wind up getting really picky. So I'm going to stop myself now. I'll fix this later, but here is Kelly Galloup's Silk Kitty. As you can see, there's a lot of moving parts to this fly. Very, very fun to fish. Very effective pattern. And give this one a shot. Let me know how it goes. And get cleaned up a little bit before we zoom out. Like I said, let me know how it goes. Send in pictures, send in whatever, patterns that you've tied. If this helped you out, if it didn't, let me know. I'm always looking for areas to improve on as far as what you guys are looking for. So if you have any comments, questions, shoot them to me, and I'll get back to you as always. But thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next fly.